It's time for Chat with Chuck, live from Windsor, California, discussing stuff on Chuck's mind, life, attitudes, and stuff. And now, your host, Chuck the DJ.
Well, welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday, and it's 4 o'clock here in the North Coast of California. And I'd like to see everybody. Thank you for all popping in so damn early. DJ Hack, I think, was the first one here today, and of course we have Sam Nation, Dance Dance, DJ Deb, and I think a first-time viewer, DJ Six, and Celestial. Quick! I forgot already. Celestial Sounds. That's it. Sorry, I had to look that up. So, you're here, Six, and Six has got a major announcement. We have a Rocktober raid train on Friday, and I will be on at 4 o'clock Pacific time for a couple hours. Jadzia Dex will be raiding into me, and I'm Xanadu. Happy Tuesday to you. I'm looking forward to that. Jadzia playing some rock. That'll be fun. And then I got 2 hours, and there is a rumor. There is, and I'll let you know up front. There is a small rumor. It's unconfirmed. That DJ Head is going to show up during the 6 Rocktober kind of fundraiser raid train on Friday. I can't confirm that. His people won't get back to me other than the usual, okay, maybe we'll be there. So hopefully that will fly. So that will be exciting. That's this Friday. And let's see, what did I do here? Yeah. So if you're up and about, and Six, if you have any information that you can drop in the chat, feel free to do that. And it's Friday and Saturday. Oh wow, okay, cool, 2 days. I have to work on Saturday, so I can't be in there. I've got an engagement. I got an IRL gig, and that's where we're going to be talking a little bit about today. IRL gigs is probably going to be the main focus today, but there are obviously some things I need to touch on, and some things that some of you have maybe heard me bitch, complain, talk about, point out before, because there are things that kind of are a running deal on Twitch that we just can't get away from. That we just cannot get away from. And so, yes, I talk about them, and we're going to touch bases on that in a little bit. Those of you that are here early on, you know that I'll kill a few minutes before we really kind of get into the meat and bones of things, because people that kind of show up at the last minute, I don't want to start getting into anything heavy duty until all 10 of you are actually here. So. One of the things we're going to be talking about today is what you're looking behind me, which is these are all past business cards that I've had throughout my years of DJing, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that today also. So as we've talked about, the chat show has turned into a sort of a Twitch centric chat show, and wasn't meant to be that way when I first started, but yeah, we're all on Twitch. We have concerns about Twitch, and I want to encourage anybody. And if you happen to be listening to this on YouTube, because we do drop it onto the YouTube channel. In fact, it just popped up in the chat there, the link for that. You can watch back on any of the old episodes I've done. Although last week I wasn't really knocked out by last week, so I haven't uploaded that one yet. So, but it was kind of a free-form discussion, and I didn't know. I probably should, just to keep the continuity going. But anyway, yeah, so we put this on YouTube. So those of you listening on YouTube, once again, I will remind you that we have a live chat going on here, and occasionally I do get sidetracked because the live chat will take me off into a different direction than what I had planned on. And that's kind of what happened last week. After I sat back and because I'll watch the show after we get done recording it. I usually take an hour to calm down and watch the show. And I kind of felt like I was like all over the place. Like there was no rhyme or reason for that. And a lot of that is because, and my wife tells me I should do this more, and I don't, and I should probably, but I don't script the show out I have no idea what I'm going to say. I have no idea where I'm going to go. I do have things like this that have like little bullet points that I want to talk about today. Or if I do have a theme show, like when we talked about moderators, or we talked about biddies, or we talked about uh, uh, partners, or whatever, then and I've reached out to other streamers, and that's a little bit more structured when I do that. When I reach out to streamers or viewers and say, "Hey, I need some input for my show," that those shows are a little bit more structured than last week's, or probably even today's, because today I haven't reached out to anybody. Um, uh, and about what I want to talk about. It is kind of hard sometimes knowing that I have to fill an hour at least every week, and it really makes wow. The guys that do that don't ask me. I'm kind of now six. Since I think this is your first time here, and I will reiterate what I just said, and maybe expand on that. The show is called Chat with Chuck. It's not called Chuck Chatting. It's not called Listen to Chuck Chat. It is called Chat with Chuck. And when I did that specifically because I want the chat to talk with me. So your thoughts or your ideas, I encourage. Now, obviously, I don't want any bashing. I don't want any drama, that kind of stuff. We had a show about drama a few weeks back. But if I'm talking about something and it comes into your mind, and we've had some interesting discussions on Chat with Chuck, and we've talked about some pretty heavy duty stuff in the Twitch world, I've only had one show that I've actually heard any kind of negative, you suck kind of kind of stuff, and that was my show on moderators, or no, excuse me, that was my show on partners. I got some feedback about my partner show, but other than that, I mean, it really is free form, and so please, and if you don't want to say something in the chat, if you don't want to throw it out there, you can always message me or email me or whatever and get it to me. And I can talk about it, on a future show. And when I do that, and some of you know this already, when I do that, when people give me ideas or give me thoughts or whatever, I don't use names, so I will never out anybody. So if you've got something that's stuck in your craw and you want to get it out, and you want a vent, but you're like, damn it, I want to say this, but I don't want people coming out at me. Bring it, because I will say it. And I won't out you, and I will put it out there, because we have to have open dialogue, because if you get stuff stuck in your craw, it's just gonna make your head explode. If there's gonna be stuff that bugs you, that bothers you, that you want to say, you want to get it out, you got to tell me, because I want to be able to put it out there. DC Artist, welcome in. Thank you for popping in again. Huge supporter. DC Artist has been wonderful with me, so I do appreciate that. So Chat with Chuck, not Chat Chuck, just that's out there. So please, don't think your thoughts or ideas are any less important. Please feel free to throw them out there at me. And I'm going to have another sip of my mini Coke here. Hold on a second. Product placement in case they want to sponsor me. I think that's going to happen. Okay, you ready? I think we've killed 10 minutes. I think that's about right. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Ryan 22, also known as my Pookie, is in the house. DJ Ryan is a very, very good friend of mine. He lives about 20 minutes away. We work together, and we do all kinds of fun stuff together. We also, and please, some of you might know, sir, we rip each other to shreds in anybody's chat. So we pick on each other. We do it with love and silliness, and we don't take each other seriously. DJ Ryan yesterday is one of the premier DJs in the area, and there was a huge bridal fair yesterday that they have here. I think twice a year, if I'm not mistaken. And DJ Ryan and his wife Brooke were doing the bridal fair yesterday. and I heard that it went really well. And they have lots. I mean, if you've never been to a bridal fair, it's amazing because any vendor. Any vendor that you can think of for a wedding, your caterers, your florists, your photographers, your videographers, your tchotchke things, they're at a bridal fair, and there's free samples of food and cake and all kinds of stuff. So even if you're not booking a wedding, and you see there's a bridal fair going on somewhere, and you go, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere today, and I'm going to take the wife out, and we're going to eat for free. Go to a freaking bridal fair. It might cost. I think this one costs $5 to get in, unless you knew ahead of time. You can get free tickets from some of the vendors, and then go in there and just eat free cake all day, and snacks, because the caterers are all have meatballs or whatever, and a lot of the vendors have chocolate at their bowls of chocolate or mints and stuff at their booths, so you can just walk by 15 times and have a handful of Hershey Kisses. I never did that well at bridal fairs. And I've done a few in my time. I'm not really sure why that is. I know I'm old, and so there's a lot of younger, hipper DJs that look like DJ Ryan or my buddy Chuck Mackey or some of those cats, some of the guys from Runaway, and that was always my thing. Plus, I never gave show discounts, and I know that a lot of DJs, a lot of vendors give show discounts. As a single system full-time mobile DJ, it's hard for me to give a discount, or at least a major discount. And I'll let you in on a slimy secret. And this is how slimy I am. Are you saying we are old? Yes, that's why people like me are exactly why they run out of food at bridal shows. That's right. When I was doing bridal shows, a lot of times to get people to come to your booth or to get their name and their address or their emails or phone numbers, whatever, there's a giveaway. Hey, we're going to give away, this gift basket, or we're giving away this, magnum of wine, or we're giving away, a one-night stay somewhere or whatever. But, you gotta come in, you gotta sign up and give us your name, and you put your name in a bowl, and then we'll draw the bowl. You don't need to be present to win, but go ahead and do that. And so I always gave away like a 2-night stay at the Bodega Bay Lodge, which is a kind of nice place here when I was doing them here. When I was on Maui doing bridal fairs, I picked a nice hotel and did that. And then at the last 45 minutes of the show or half hour of the show or whatever. Yeah, exactly. So I'd have people come in, they'd sign up, they'd give me because the point is you want to get their name and their address so you can follow up with them. So you can send them literature, or you can, email them, hey, thanks for coming to the bridal fair. If you're still looking for a DJ, my wife always won. Whenever I pulled the name out of the basket, it was always, and our winner is Kajira Jumana. Is Kajira here? Kajira, she all right, well, I'll be contacting Kajira for her 2-night stay on this thing. That's when I was doing bridal fairs. My wife always won, and that's how slimy. Maybe that's why I never. Maybe that was karma. Maybe that's why I never did well at a bridal fair because they were like, oh, you gotta do a gift that's worth at least $50. And well, screw that, man. I'm gonna give away a 2-night stay someplace. So that's why you never win anything. That's right. And I'd like to think I was the only slime ball there that was doing that. And if it wasn't my wife, it was somebody I knew, that kind of thing. But yeah, that was that's. I've never shared that secret at any sort of DJ conference or any sort of DJ chat board or whatever. But I know right now Ryan's got a piece of paper and a pencil. He's going, oh, that's a great idea. I'm doing that, man. Because you can give away a $1,500 whatever, and Betty's going to win. Your aunt or your whatever is going to win. That was, yeah. I don't know. That's oh gosh. Yeah, I'm going to get canceled now. Exactly. The bridal fair people are going to hear about that, and he's not. We're not letting him into our bridal fair. I don't care what. Never do a giveaway. Well, yeah, I mean, I think sometimes what I would do, I mean, because I know some guys at bridal fairs, they do like, oh, hey, we have a show special, a couple $100 off if you book now or whatever. I would do something silly like, hey, we'll bring in a dance floor lighting, which is something I would normally bring in anyway, and it doesn't cost you anything. So do something like that. But I rarely would I give money off because I need that to survive. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Chicago, the Windy City, Jimbo/Chicago, one of my only actually technical moderator. How you doing, Jimbo? Jimbo knows how to push all those buttons, and that's great. Somehow we got off on the track of bridal fairs, and which is as I want to do. My mind goes other places when somebody posts something about something in the chat. So anyway, bridal fairs, that's enough. Cubs win versus SD today. That's baseball. Thank you. Then Jimbo knows better than just to put something in my chat without telling me what it is, because I am not a sports guy. So the Cubs win versus, is that it must be San Diego. Is that San Diego today? They won in baseball. Well that makes Jimbo happy. Because the Cubs are in Chicago. All right, so now that I've gotten off on that tangent, I want to get off on one other really quick tangent because and we've gone on this tangent before. So for those of you that have been here before, you may recognize this tangent, but it's raid trains. As those of you that are out there, I love raid trains. I love being on raid trains. I actually kind of like being the caboose on the raid train, so I can play long if I want, or I can change the format if I want, because I'm the last guy. It doesn't really matter, but not always. Yesterday, I was on a raid train, a great fundraiser raid train, a great cause. It was actually it was like a 5-day. It was a 5-day. We're going to touch on that, Celestial. It was like a 5-day raid train. Started last Wednesday. It ended last night. It had a goal of $1,500 to raise money, and they did I think it was $1,675 last time I looked. So that was really cool. When the perpetrator of the raid train sent out, okay, these are I think there was like 60 DJs. I am a raid train addict. I love them. I'm on the train last night. I'm on Six's train this Friday. Yeah. When he sent out the information, he sends out little parameters that he wants you to work within when you're on the raid train. One of the parameters, or a couple of the parameters are, go on 15 minutes ahead of time, and let your DJ that you're going to raid that's going to raid into you that that you're ready. You let everybody ready to know. You go on 15 minutes ahead of time. That way, if there's a problem, or maybe you have you're not waiting for the last. You're not freaking anybody out, or any of that kind of stuff. And when you raid, if your time frame is from noon to 2, right? You're out of there at 2 o'clock. You don't raid out at 2. You don't start a song at 2 o'clock or 1:59 and go, this is my last song, and then you wait, and then you raid out, at 2, 3, 4 minutes after the time. Now, 2, 3, 4 minutes doesn't sound like a long time. It really, really isn't. And the reality, it's maybe makes a difference of a song. Maybe makes a difference of like one song. But in my mind, and my wife always reminds me, she goes, that's just you. You're not the raid train police. Let it go. But in my mind, I consider that extremely rude and inconsiderate, because all of us on the raid trains are there for, well, not always, but a lot of times we're there for a cause. And we're doing it out of the goodness of our heart. In most DJs' plans, if they get biddies and subs that night, they're going to donate that money to whatever cause they're doing, right? So they're not there for the money. So I saw this a few times during this raid train, where people would start the raid at like right at 9 o'clock or 9:01, when you should start the raid at like 9:59 or 9:58, so you're done at 10 o'clock or the top of the hour, or whatever it is. That is just being considerate. That is being considerate of the person putting the train on. That's being considerate of the person that you're raiding into, right? And that's just considerate. Okay, getting that off my shoulder. Now, the going back to the 15-minute thing. I was on my train last night, and yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, some guys, if you happen to have a hype train going on, I'll give you that. You got a hype train going on, and most everybody will agree. If you've got a hype train going on, let the hype train run out. Other than that, there is no excuse to raid out late. And then secondly, there's no excuse for you not to go on 15 minutes, 10 minutes ahead of time. I was sitting there last night, and I was looking at my thing, and I had to raid into this individual. At 5 minutes till, that individual still had not logged on yet. So now I'm like, okay, did they forget about the train? You want me to play longer? Or, you know, and I'm contacting the engineer or the person in charge, and I'm like, okay, am I missing? Is this person on? Do you want me to play longer? Should I get ready? What should I do? You know, and exactly, Celestial. And at about 3 minutes till, that individual logged on, and it was like, okay, cool. So I mean, I rated out on time. I was cool. I rated out on time. And it is inconsiderate, and it's the least you can it's the least you can do. Tennessee Girl, mod of 14 DJs in the house. Thank you, DJ Tennessee Girl, for being here. That's the least you can do. Log on early, rate out on time. Is that a whole lot to ask, right? Now, and when you're on a train for a cause, you know, most engineers that I know, they're not asking you as a DJ to donate to their cause, because you're giving your time, right? And that's the least you can do. And you're hoping that people in your chat will donate. Now, on a 5-day train, when you're on the last guy or second to last guy, chances are, most everybody's watching the train, they've already donated, but it's still there. But if you can donate those biddies or subs that maybe you got during that train to help the cause, that's great. That's from the heart. That's helping out. And we all need to help each other out, especially in this day and age and with all the stuff that's going on. And I am not going to get political, because I'm not educated, well-read enough to be have intelligent conversations about the politics of what's going on in the world. There are a few things that I do want to touch on. Celestial brought up about the generals and our president saying, Celestial didn't bring us up, but our president said something along the lines of, and again, I get my information from the headlines on Facebook, so that's what you can know. About using our towns as training grounds for our armies or our military, and that's just freaking stupid. That is just stupid. I don't want to get real deep into that, but that is just stupid, and I don't understand how people can go along with that. I have a friend who is a fellow streamer, and I won't bring her name up because she's not here, and I don't like to out people, but she's in Portland, and she, hello Portland. We all know what's happening up there in Portland, and how dumb is that? And she's just in a panic, and it's just so taxing for her, and I don't understand how this shit can be happening. Even if a president has the power to do whatever XYZ, doesn't mean they should, right? In any normal case. But anyway, so that's about as political. Oh, the only other thing, it might be a little political, but that's it on that one, right? Now, if those of you that know me well enough, you know I'm a golfer. I enjoy golf, that's it's probably my main passion, maybe next to my wife and streaming. And I'm not gonna say what order those go in, but the Ryder Cup, which is a big deal in the golf world, and basically the Ryder Cup, it's the USA versus basically the world, basically. And every other year they have it here, or every time they have it here, then they have it there, then they have it here. And this past weekend, the Ryder Cup was played up there in New York, and I was so embarrassed watching the Ryder Cup. I couldn't even watch most of it because the crowd that was at the Ryder Cup, the way they treated all these other individuals from around the world, the crap that they were saying. One of the I read today, one of the golfers' wives had a beer thrown at her. I mean, you know what? DJ BBS, how you doing? Welcome in. And social media has allowed a lot of people to be keyboard warriors to get away with saying stuff, online and somewhere in some platform that they would never say in public or to your face. But to be out there in the world, and I'm just even going to step into the golf. Golf is a game of etiquette, and if you're a golfer, yeah, I'm not going to get political, Rand. If you're a golfer, if there's a golf tournament and you go to the golf tournament, chances are you're a golfer, right? Because I don't know, maybe it's like if you're not into baseball, chances are you aren't going to go to a baseball game. I mean, you might go one time with your friends or whatever, but chances are if you got a big golf match and you're going to spend the money to go to a big golf match and you're going to be out there, it's not cheap to go to a golf match. You're going to be a golfer. Okay. So if you're a golfer, golf etiquette. You don't scream or yell or swear at guys during their golf swings while they're trying to hit a ball, while they're trying to concentrate. It's just rude and inconsiderate. Maybe that's going to be the theme today: rude and inconsiderate work or people or things. And I posted on a couple of the golf pages that I'm on Facebook because I'm old. That I would like to be at one of those guys that were yelling crap at Rory or some of the other golfers. I would love to be at their Saturday morning, once a week golf game that they have, and have them standing on the tee, and I could start yelling at them, "You suck! You go back where you suck!" and see how they like it. I mean, that, whatever. Okay, so I know we don't have a lot of golfers in the chat, so that might be something that nobody else can relate to. But I wanted to get that off my chest. I did wanted to get that off my chest. Thank you, Coke. And once again, welcome to everybody. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. We're getting rain up here in Northern California. We had our first kind of major rain yesterday. And I was at the golf course, and there were yahoos golfing on the golf course in the rain. Off the chest with Chuck. Yes, artist. But so that's let's see. Okay, chat with Chuck. Oh, okay, that Raider Cup. Okay, I'm looking at my notes. Okay. So behind me, we're gonna get onto some other areas right now. You enjoyed my Facebook driving rain video. Yeah, for those of you that are on Facebook, that follow me on Facebook, occasionally I put up, I call it Driving with Chuck. I put my camera on my dash, and I'll record. It's usually during just a song or part of a song as I'm driving down the road. And yesterday in the rain, I made one and I put it up, and a few people have liked it. Thank you, Tennessee Girl. I appreciate that. So again, okay. So behind me, as I talked about very earlier, these are some of the business cards that I've had throughout my career as a mobile DJ. This one right here, this yellow one right here, that is the second business card I ever had. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing KGB in the house. So that's the second business card I ever had. Now, the very first business card that we ever had, and this is your seventh grade, eighth grade. We actually just made them on paper, and we drew our name, Spectrum Light and Sound, and a phone number, and we just cut out little pieces of paper, just like binder paper, and that was our very first business card. But then we stepped up to this. That was our very first business card, and Spectrum Light and Sound Company. And there's four corners. You can't see them. The four guys that we would get together, and we all bring gear together, and we'd go do school dances. Okay, and all that really kind of took off in about 1970 is when we started doing that. And this card is probably from like 1970, maybe 71. Then it just kind of progressed through the years. Now this one down here, this is my favorite business card, and I wish I could still use this card because I know you can't read that, but what that says right there, it says, "We just like to play it loud." That was our theme, because it got to a point when we were DJing that, as you're a kid and your parents, they're always just telling you, turn your music down, and that's what we wanted. We just wanted to go someplace where we could play our music really loud, and that was important to us. That was important. Playing it loud was like the thing, and we were idiots back then because we had no knowledge of speakers or sound gear or any of this kind of stuff. And these four guys that would get together, one guy would bring a set of speakers, another guy would bring a set of speakers, and this guy would bring a tape deck, and this guy would bring a slide projector, and this guy would, for the light show and all that kind of stuff. The first business cards were stones that I carved on my name. Yes, carved my name on. Yeah, that was. I was trying not to go that far back. I was trying not to go far back, Ryan. And then this one down here. Well, this is the last one I'm going to talk about. You can't really read it because the glitter has worked off on that one. But that one says Spectrum Disco, and that was from about 1978. Because my first agent, who I think I got in 77, 76. When disco got really hot, he goes, "Hey, if you changed your name to Spectrum Disco, I could book you gigs." And we were really anti-disco. I mean, we were playing rock, we were playing Beatles, Rolling Stones, all this kind of stuff. We weren't playing that disco crap. I mean, that was like crap. But we did succumb down here with our agent because we wanted to make money, and this is when we really started making money in the DJ world. And again, that was about 70, probably late 77, 78, 79. And then we went back up to this one and this one. This is this is my current one for my Wine Country Entertainment, and this is So anyway, those are the business cards of the past from Chuck the DJ. Volvo 850, how you doing? Very first DJ gig was in 1969. I went full time in 1985. I was basically a school jock, which is and if you were paying attention pre-show, the music that I was playing, all the songs that I played for the 15-minute pre-show show were all songs about schools. Schools out, be true to your school, and things like that. That's why I was playing those songs, because I was leaning to my school years of being a mobile DJ. I was a primarily school jock up until 48, when I turned 48. And so from basically 70 to, so basically when I was from about 15 to 48, I was a school jock. And I think in that same time frame, I might have done 2 or 3 weddings, but schools, bar mitzvahs, teen birthday parties. It was all teen stuff. It was all kid stuff. And that's what I did. And then I went full time in 1985 with my agent, booking schools. And I wish I would have figured out the years. Hold on. I'm so I can give you an actual year. So in 2004, thank you for sharing the stream. So in 2004, my wife and I moved to Maui. And when we moved to Maui, I thought that my school business would continue because that's what I enjoyed doing. That I enjoyed doing schools, and there were schools. But unfortunately, when we moved to Maui, the schools just, they all they don't want to pay any money. I couldn't survive on schools on Maui, and I got hooked up with an agent there, which I love agents, and they started booking me, and that's when I really got into the wedding corporate market. And then we moved back here to California. Let's see, 2004, probably about 2012. We moved back here to California, and I kept into the wedding corporate market, which is what I've been doing. So I've basically been a wedding jock for 21 years now, and in that time, I've had my share of interesting wedding horror stories, wedding events, wedding. I've had some amazing weddings. I one of my favorite weddings was I actually DJ'd my first wife. I DJ'd her second marriage. My ex-wife hired me to DJ her wedding to her second husband, and they are still married. And it was up at Lake Tahoe, and it was just an amazingly fun wedding. I mean, I call it hanging from the chandelier wedding. I mean, it didn't matter what I played. You know, people partied, people jumped around, they danced, they just had a great time. One of my favorite memories of that wedding was we made a deal. Her name's Cheryl. Cheryl and we made a deal. She goes, well, you know, we don't have to let people know, you know, who you are, you know, that, you know, whatever, you know, because that's, you know, silly, you know. So time came for their first dance. And as DJs do, we're announcing the first dance. And so I was like, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Cheryl and Mark to come down for the first dance. So let's bring our bride and groom down the dance floor. And they're coming down the dance floor. And I'm like, for those of you who don't know who I am, and I paused. And Cheryl turned around and she looked at me. My name's Chuck. I'm your DJ tonight. Let's have a nice round of applause for our bride and groom. And that was hilarious. Xanadu, oh, wow, that's awesome. I'm actually a lot better friends with my ex-husband now. I have two exes. I have two ex-wives. And, yeah, oh, goodness, I said that. I do. I have two ex-wives, and I am on really good terms with both of them. My first ex-wife, I don't really see very often, but we're friends on Facebook, and we talk back and forth, and we have a mutual best friend. My best friend Jeff is real close with her, and so we talk to each other. And she's still really good friends with my sister. My sister actually comes out to visit my ex-wife, and then my second wife, the mother of my daughter. I'm in really good terms with, and obviously it wasn't always that way. It takes a while. If you've been divorced, you know, or you get divorced, I mean, it takes a while to become, you know, well, you may never actually. And honestly, when my second wife and I, when we were going through our divorce, I never thought we would get at a level of, hey, we're friends. But we have, and she actually does embroidery, like, you know, polo shirts and cups and all that kind and she does all my stuff for my golf club. I have her do all my stuff for my golf club, or all my DJ stuff, my DJ polo shirts with my name on them and all that kind of stuff. My ex-wife does all that for me too, so that's very cool. So, yeah, ex-wives, they're great. So that was a really, like I say, that wedding was early on, and that was a kind of set bar. Now the flip side of that wedding, DJ Los, you were struggling, but we're working on it. The flip side of that wedding of my ex-wife's I did, it was so amazing, it was so fun, and then one of her bridesmaids said, "Hey, I'm getting married, and you know I want you to DJ my wedding." Which, as a wedding DJ, you know, that's what you strive for. You're at an event, you're doing it, you want to do a good job, so you get the referrals. So I'm like, great. So her wedding was down in San Jose, which from our house, it's what, 2.5, 3 hours, something like that. Ex-wives, they're great. And I did her wedding, and it completely bombed. I couldn't get people to dance for anything. If I played a slow song, they would dance. But anything fast that I played, they would just sit down and just the complete opposite of what my ex-wife's wedding was. And she came up to me and she was like, "What's going on?" I go, "I don't know." And this was back in the day. Now a bride and groom will send you a playlist of every song they want you to play, right? And sometimes you don't have a whole lot of say in what you're going to play. But this was back in the day, before Spotify, before everybody had every song ever recorded, right there in their hands, And so we DJs were supposed to know what we were doing. Well, I completely bombed on this one. And she was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess they just don't want to dance." And I go, if you want to give me a song. And I never got those people dancing. They were really nice. Neil, how you doing? They were really nice. They actually wrote me a really nice letter of recommendation saying Chuck did his best. I think is what I'm not sure I ever used that one because it was worded in a way. It was like Chuck did his best. We had a good time. Chuck did his best to get people dancing. What do you mean he did his best? That's like an offhanded comment. So I don't think I ever used that one in any of my promo, any of my literature, in my referral packets or whatever. So that was that. A horror story, a bride horror story. The one that really, really sticks in my mind is I was doing I was hired to do a wedding, 300 people wedding, up at a place called Konocti, which is a lake area. We all play what they like. Yes, we do. Sometimes it's not, DJ Ryan says sometimes it's not a dancing crowd. Celestial Sound says, dude, we all play what they like. Now we do. Yeah, now it's but 20 years ago, something like that years ago, they would still give you maybe some requests, but we still have to do it. Neil, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. I'm just going to call you Neil. So Neil says, "I hate being a jukebox. I prefer about 10 must-play songs, and the crowd trusts you to move them." And I love that too, and I prefer that. Unfortunately, my wedding last weekend. Yes, I'm old. Celestial, thank you. My wedding last weekend sent me a list of 73 songs. 73 songs. Don't take any requests from the audience, and a number of those songs. I'm gonna the one that I'm gonna use as an example. There was an artist named Sybil, Sibyl, something like that. Sybil, 6 songs by Sybil. And so I obviously tried to play some of those songs during cocktail dinner. And yeah, Tennessee likes me to play nothing but K-pop. And the event went well. I did get a tip, but when you get a bride and groom that give you that many songs to play, that just go, here. The only artistic control that you have is taking their list and putting it in an order that's going to be cohesive. Is that the right word? That's going to work, Yeah, they may have this song and that song and this song and that song, but it's our job to put them in order to make it work. And that's at least a little bit of artistic control that we have, as opposed to back then when, we had more control because they didn't know every song. They didn't have access to every song. We did. Now, I have had brides in the past. I think the last time it happened to me was a little over a year ago, that gave me a list of songs to play in order. Don't deviate. Don't take requests. Play these songs in this order, no matter what. That is the definition of a jukebox DJ, right there. And I don't know any DJs that like that. Do we do that? Will we take their money and run? Sure. We'll be happy. Will the client be happy? Probably because they got what they wanted and it is their day. And we as DJs always say, it's your day. It's your day. We want to make your day, you know. Um, I rarely say no, and this is gonna we do take pride in playing music that they don't know that they wanted to hear. Neil says that we take pride in playing music they didn't know that they wanted to hear. Yeah, that is true. Um, DCR says I saw something where if you wanted to play a song on a song list that the bride and groom hates, you got to pay dollars. That's funny. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's getting because, oh boy, um, there's always exceptions to every rule. Everything I say, there's an exception to, right? There's no one way. There are no for sure's. There are no. This is always how it is. There's always exceptions, right? So, but there are. It seems to me getting more and more common that brides and grooms. I don't know if it's a TikTok thing or an X thing that they want their party to be special. They don't want to hear the same songs that you hear at every wedding. They want their wedding to be unique, right? That's great. I understand that. You want your wedding to be unique? No problem. Wear a pink wedding gown, right? Don't hit me with a bunch of songs that you enjoy hearing as you're driving down the road, thinking that that's going to fly on the dance floor. Because chances are it's not, unless it's a small wedding, right? Small weddings are a whole different animal. It wasn't a wedding, but the birthday party I did last Saturday, 17 people. Nah, you got to do weddings. Weddings are where the money is, and they are, and the flip. Well, okay. So my birthday party last Saturday, at a really really nice place, 17 people, right? 5 hours. You don't know the gigs are shitty until afterwards, but 5 hours, 17 people. Some interesting requests, but the thing is, these people, the 17 people, those are their close friends. Those are the people they don't feel stupid being stupid in front of, right? Because you got a 300-person wedding and you got your dad's bosses there, and you may not want to look stupid in front of your dad's boss or maybe your boss or some other coworker or whatever, but you got a small wedding or a small party. That's the kind, because you require more alcohol. Oh, you mean right now? Okay. So those small events, I love those small events, and I didn't get into those until I moved to Maui, and when I was doing a bunch of small events, because I realized that's cool, because that weird song that you may have played at that 300-person wedding that cleared the floor for those 17 people, gonna rock. Oh, thank you. I'll just hydrate right here, Tennessee. I turn all that stuff off during this show. Because that's the fun thing about a party, about a small party, is that you got those quirky songs that you guys like you were in school together with, or you were you partied to, or had that special meeting because you were whatever. That's the thing. The small parties that was really cool. I got off on that tangent, and I apologize. I see we're running out of time already. The horror story, the Konocti horror story, 300 people. I was scheduled to do the ceremony and then the reception. The ceremony was inside the big chapel room, and then the dinner dancing portion was out on the patio overlooking the lake. Beautiful. Time came for the ceremony, and out of the 300 people all the chairs were set up, all ready to go, 30 people showed up. 30. And basically, it was the bridal party and their family. Nobody else showed up. 200 and I'm going to round up. I'm pretty sure it was like 270 people. Yeah. And the main vision that sticks in my mind, it was a sit-down dinner. And the main vision that I remember from that event is being in the kitchen and seeing the racks and racks and racks of pre-made salads, right? And obviously it was a very depressing afternoon. We danced. Well, I didn't dance. They danced. We did the formal stuff, and they partied for a little bit. It shut down early, and unfortunately, I never heard the backstory. Yeah, that is very sad, Volvo. I never heard the backstory, and so many scenarios have run through my mind throughout the years of why that many people would not show up at your wedding. They got the wrong date. No, that can't be right. That people RSVP. They would know. People RSVP'd and didn't show up because if they didn't have the RSVPs, well, they wouldn't have set up 300 freaking chairs or had 300 pre-made salads or whatever. They got. I mean, it was kind of a weird place to get to. People did decide they want to make. There is nothing that I can think of, other than the fact that for some reason, the bride or the groom, or maybe a mom or dad, were like complete jerks, and there's a phone tree. Don't go to Betty and Bob's wedding. Don't go to Betty and Bob's wedding. Don't go to And I have no idea. I would like to go back, and find out whatever happened and see if they're still married. I don't know. That's probably out of all the weddings that I've done, that's probably the biggest horror story. I mean, I've had bad load-ins. I've had bad, bridesmaids, get mad at the bride and walk, get up and leave during dinner. Whatever. I had an aunt, or it was a grandma up in Fort Bragg, die the night before. But it still went on. I mean, but that one, people not showing up, that is like the worst. I think I've ever heard. I just can't figure out. DJ Ryan's got a great story about a drunk bride. If he ever does a talk show, he should share that one. He really should. But I've had offer 2-for-1 deal. If your first wedding doesn't last, we'll do your second one for free. Neil, that's a great idea. Put that in our marketing things. Hey, book me special. Hey, if this one doesn't work out, I'll do your next one for free. That that would be funny. That would be a funny deal. I'm getting a new website made, so maybe I'll put that on my website. That would be just like totally like hilarious. I think. But I miss the school dances. Because that's where I cut my teeth as a DJ. I've always felt that there's two events in a DJ's life that you can't screw up, and one of them is a wedding, right? And the other one is a prom, a high school prom. And I think we might have talked about this before on the show. I'm not sure, but like I still remember my high school prom for a number of reasons, but those are important gigs, I think, and when you're DJing, if you're DJing a school dance, now it's different now, and I've told the story of why I stopped doing school dances, but ceremonies still stress. And I just made a post on one of the DJ boards on Facebook today about ceremonies, and I know I'm going to get shit for it because so many DJs consider the ceremony almost like a throwaway event for the day. They're like, well, yeah, you only need one speaker, and you only need this, and then you got to be, because you want to get to the reception, and the reception is a party, and Where I'm in agreement with the reception part, but I'm not in agreement with the ceremony part for most DJs. And again, I'm saying most DJs, and again, there's exceptions to every rule. But so many of the posts I see on Facebook are these DJs that do as absolutely little setup as possible for the ceremony. And I'm like, and I said this in the post today, the ceremony is important. The people getting married, that's actually what everybody's coming to see, is to see Betty and Bob get married, and they want to hear Betty and Bob. And these guys are saying, oh, well, you just set up a speaker behind the crowd, and the people in the front row, oh, they can hear anyway. Well, not always, and I'm like, I'm like, the only, oh boy, I said this in the post. I said something like if I go, the only people who set up behind the ceremony with one speaker are the lazy DJs. I go, it takes more effort to put two speakers up, even if you wire it or you wireless, whatever, one on each side, out of the view of the pictures, and to have the microphones right so everybody can hear. It takes more effort. And the ones that don't do that are the non-pro DJs. And I'm surprised that maybe they took that post down. I don't know, but that to me that's the ceremony is important. The reception's fun, and people are coming to party and they're coming to celebrate with the bride and groom, but they're there. DJ Ryan says the ceremony is the most important part of the day. As a DJ, if you screw that up, it doesn't matter how good you do at the reception. In my mind, you're done. And I agree, Ryan. Volvo says that they make the rest of us look bad. Yeah, and I can't tell you the number of times that I've been at a wedding where, and honestly, sometimes I'm like, why do I do all this shit? Because I see guys with one speaker and a microphone on a stand, which I have done because it's only been required or whatever. But but that's and I'm like, and they got this one little thing, and and I'm like, why am I busting my ass to do two speakers, spread apart, and have a lapel for the groom and have a lapel for the lapel for the officiant, have a handheld for the toast, and all this kind of stuff, and patching the musicians into my system, and da 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 da, have a micro. Why am I do that? Neil says your events and venues look so beautiful, really, and they are, and I'm this might be blowing my own horn. I don't know. And Ryan actually knows better. Ryan knows the truth about me. But I have an agent that books 95% of my events. And the agent is not necessarily a low-end agent. They don't deal with the Grange Halls. They don't deal with the the Lions Club. They don't deal with somebody's backyard wedding, unless it's a really nice backyard. Like I did a party in the backyard of Eddie DiPardotto, DiBartolo, the 49er owner guy. Right, that was a backyard, but. They deal with higher end weddings and higher end clients. Now, money is always still a concern, and da 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 da. And I don't get paid what Ryan thinks I should get paid. So yeah. So when you see pictures of me, that I'm posting on Facebook, I'm very fortunate to get to deal with where I get to deal, where I get to play. I'm very, very fortunate. DJ Ryan says I did a few, or DJ Neil says I did a few private properties and some of the private properties are amazing, and that's I get that. DJ Ryan says you're not alone, bro. I do all the same and spend time EQing the ceremony system with lapel mics, etc. I typically spend an hour on setting up and EQing the ceremony system, and Ryan does. I've seen Ryan at weddings, and he goes way above and beyond. I mean, he does stuff that that I think is dude, come on. But Ryan's a perfectionist, and he gets paid for that, and that's important, and people hire Ryan because he does such good. And Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, probably all of his weddings, or at least most of his weddings, is a 2-person deal. Ryan and Brooke do the weddings together. Brooke handles a lot of the stuff with the people, the bride and all that kind of stuff. And then Ryan is more the MC DJ guy. and that's amazing. And I do all my stuff, by myself. Neil says creative clients turned a big workshop into a wedding hall, and that I've done airplane hangars, where they do that same kind of thing. It's amazing what. Sometimes it takes a good planner. I see I'm in my hour. My hour here is up. We might go just a tad over here, folks, because this is we're getting kind of in a wedding DJ groove talk here. So yeah, I mean, if you're a wedding DJ out there, God love you. It's harder than it used to be. But it's still such a reward, especially when you get that tip at the end of the night, or you get that great letter of recommendation, or just a handshake, from the bride and groom, a hug from the bride, that just means so much. It just, I'm going to say this, and I've said this kind of stuff before, and it's very, I was going to say controversial, but it's not really. Our job is ego based on a lot of levels, and I don't mean that in a bad way. There's good ego and there's bad ego, and ego can also be pride. When at the end of the night you've done your event, whether it be a wedding or corporate or even a school, and the client comes up to you and says thanks for making our day, or gives you a hug, or slips you a tip or whatever, you did a really good job, and that feeds your ego, and it's pride, and it makes us. We want to do a good job. We want to do a good job for a couple of reasons, because we have the pride and we have the ego to be out there and want to do a good job, and we also want to do a good job. So because we live on referrals, especially those of us that are full-time DJs. That's all we do. We live on referrals, and so there's pride in our work, and some of that's ego. Yeah, I got ego. Yeah, I want to do a good job. But anyway. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging out with me here today, and I hope you found at least some of this interesting. And I want to remind anybody that if you have an idea, if you have something that you want me to talk about, please feel free to text me, to shoot me a message. I want to thank everybody for being here. Sam Nation, thank you. You're welcome. DJ Hack, the first person in the room tonight. Sam Nation, DJ Dance Dance, DJ Deb. I'm kind of looking through my list here. Excuse me, DJ Ryan, DC Artist. Thank you so much. I see some lurkers that didn't say anything. I hope you're still lurking. Hope you're having a good time. Hackman, Sandwich, Volvo. Thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate that. I'm going to do my little closing here. I'm going to stop recording, and then I'm going to play some music. So thank you all again for being here, for hanging out with me, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for listening to Chat with Chuck. Have something you want Chuck to riff about? Send him a whisper and get ready to be entertained. I'm Greg Murray. Thanks for listening.